Hello world, it's Kurtis Potter with Boundless Inspiration. Today I wanted to talk to you about how hate can actually be a good thing and how hate is a bigger motivator than love. See, now this was weird to me because I grew up and my mom would be like, "Don't say hate. Don't say you hate someone. Don't say you hate something. Hate's such a powerful word. Take it out of your vocabulary," right? And I think in society today as well, hate is considered a bad thing, right? And just like anything else, I think it's all on how you perceive it and how you apply it, right? Because anything can be bad or good, just depending on how you look at it, your viewpoint, and how you utilize it, right? For instance, I hate the cold weather. It just, man, I was one of those people that I found out that I got that seasonal depression from the lack of vitamin D. So what did I do with that hate? I'm already wearing this thing, so I can't pretty up my hair and look all, clean cut with the gel in my hair. But that's all right. I could put on one of these toboggans. It's not so bad. I put on my fitted underwear, keeps me warm. So I realized that my hate for the cold just motivated me to wear the proper clothing to where it's not that bad. I go outside now, it doesn't even bother me. I had a hate for being broke at different times in my life financially. So what did I do? It put me into a gear of being smarter with my money, investing the extra money I have instead of blowing it, setting aside an emergency fund for when life throws you those curveballs. So I use that hate for being broke to incentivize me to be smarter and, investing and being intentional with my money. See, love, I know I grew up thinking this, and a lot of people do. You think you can just love something and it'll motivate you. But the thing is it's easy to get complacent in love, right? For instance, you love a job when you first started. Man, I love this job. You're telling everybody, I started this new job and I love it. And how long does it take you before it just becomes a routine? You're coming in and you're just, going on with the motions and you've kind of lost that in love feeling, right? So see, those can diminish. But then when you hate a job, it's like you almost can't stop thinking about it until the point where you probably just quit or get yourself fired because you're doing things, and it shows. Like, they can see that you hate your job, like it's coming out of you. You may not think it is, but when you hate something, it just radiates from you, right? What about a relationship? You could, for instance, my wife and I, we love each other. But see, just having that love for somebody doesn't keep you in love. They call it the honeymoon stage where, at the start of your relationship, you're in love and you're trying to do all these things. You're buying her flowers. She's buying you a shirt or something randomly. You're like, "Oh, baby, you want me to rub your feet?" The sex is usually right up there and amazing at the start of relationships. And then you stop doing those things. Like, it was weird. I used to always open the door for my wife. And I realized when we had our second child, I stopped opening the doors for her. And it was only because she was carrying one kid to one side. I was carrying one kid to the other side. And, it was just something that somehow I fell out of doing. And sometimes I'd even hold both kids. So it was like, then she would start opening the door for me. But it was like, it wasn't until our relationship got on the rocks to where we was ready to get a divorce and we was pushing each other away and the point of like thinking about losing my family, not necessarily losing my kids. Court systems will allow me to see them, but just the fact of not being able to see them every single night of my life, giving them baths every night and reading to them, that's my thing. And just knowing that the possibility of losing them started to get me to hate the bad issues that I was bringing to the table, right? Like in a relationship, it takes two to tango. Neither side's perfect. And, both sides have got to hate that position that they're at, so they both become the best versions of themselves. So they both take ownership and accountability in a relationship. One could check out, walk out, and just be like, nope, I'm going to take all my baggage to the next relationship. But the thing is like, if you both get to a place where you hate where you have become, I listened to this podcast and it's called Date Your Wife. And the husband and wife on there talked about it, how they had just got in their habits after they got married and that same cycle. And then they both got to where they kind of hated each other. The husband was spending too much time at work and he had done a great job financially. She was spending too much time doing this or what. I can't remember the exact story because I started listening to it a long time ago. But they got to where they somehow hated each other. And it was because they stopped doing all those things. But see, then they were mature enough and they knew that they loved each other, that they had to take a stand. They weren't going to get a divorce. They were going to take a stand for their marriage and do whatever it took to pull themselves out of the hate. And see, the good thing about hate is that it is something that is a reminder, because it's such a feeling in your heart where you were like, man, I hated being at that point. I hated working for that boss that was a prick, and I'll never do that again. I hated working for the dollar instead of my calling. I hated how I snapped on my kids. I hated how I pushed one of those friends out of my life. I hated how I wasn't selective in the mate that I chose, and I was dating this guy that was abusive, and I saw all the red flags, or I started dating this female that was toxic, and I saw the red flags, but I was like, oh man, she's so pretty, or some kind of reason that I did it anyways. I hated that feeling that I made that decision, right? And sometimes we have to get to that point where we hate the decisions that we made or making, the excuses we're making, the procrastination that we're making to push us to where we're not doing that again. I hate that I'm not as smart as some people, right? I have it in me, but I hated that I wasn't as knowledgeable as some of the people I saw, or successful as some of the people I saw. Not as a jealousy that it really at times it was a jealousy where it's like a bitterness, but more now where I hated even that feeling of feeling jealous in a bitterness type of way. And I switched that one letter from bitter to better, that I to the E, and I started working on me. So that way I'm reading, going to workshops, seminars, just continually growing my body, mind, and soul, that trifecta, because I hated that I was not in a better place on all those areas of my life. And I knew that it was going to take everything to really become boundless. So I hope this helped you all. Utilize that hate in a good way to motivate you, inspire you, push you. You'll get your breakthrough. You know what? This is the microwave generation. We want things now. It's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen now. Almost never. You may get that random 1 in a million breakthrough where something just pops off and your life changes immediately. Chances are it's not going to happen like that. So it may be a roller coaster. I know it has for me on this journey of becoming boundless. The ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, they come. But the thing that everybody says about me is like, Kurtis, man, dude, I just appreciate your drive and your refusal to quit, your refusal to failure. My marriage, when my wife was like, you know what, I'm done, I'm checking out. I'm like, you know what? I'm not giving up on you, babe. I love you. And we may not be in love anymore because we both have become complacent. And it was hard for us to look in the mirror and be like, okay, Kurtis, you've got this, this, and this you need to work on. Stop pointing at your wife and saying, hey, you need to work on this, this, and this. Instead, Kurtis, you need to work on this, this, and this. My wife, it had to get to a point where she did the same thing. Hey, Kurtis, you need to work on this, this, and this. But remember, she's got those 3 fingers back at her and the one of God that's saying, Brooke, you need to work on you. Because if we become our best versions of ourselves together and focus on ourselves and how can I be better? How can I go back to opening those doors for her? How can I get her to fall back in love with me? Not by forcing her to, or be like, you need to. You know, there's even times where I referenced the Bible and I was like, Brooke, submit to your husband, love your husband. Don't walk out on your husband. It says in the Bible, when we go to church twice a week, Bible studies, read the Bible every day almost. Like, it's almost like I had to just hate that my wife wasn't madly, deeply in love with me anymore, and be the source and take ownership and say, you know what? Like, I look at those photos I posted it. You could go on my page and see it. I made this heart with all the pictures on our wall. And I go in there every time I go into our bedroom. I look at those pictures and I see the way she was looking at me on our wedding date. And not only that, like when we started dating, all the trips we took together, I was traveling for my business, Cali, Florida, wherever. And you just saw the look in our eyes where we just looked at each other. We were so madly in love. And I had to get to a place where I hated her not looking at me like that anymore. And see, that's how it is. It needs to be in a relationship. If you're wanting to truly have the best relationship you could possibly have, you got to hate that you're not doing what it takes to have that person looking at you like that. And see, I hated that because I want my children to see a type of relationship where, man, Dad, Mom is so in love with you. Man, Dad, you are so in love with Mom. That's the type of relationship I want my kids to see. And I hate that I did not see that, and I still don't see it in my parents. Even they got remarried. I've never seen them have them googly eyes like, man, you know what? And I hope my parents see this video that sometimes you got to step up and become a better version of yourself because you love your spouse so much that it's not all about us. See, we got to work on us, but it's not all about us. It's about our spouse. Whenever you get married, it becomes a partnership. Her dreams became my dreams. My dreams become her dreams. Our dreams become each other's dreams, and we are standing up to be the leaders of our children and our grandchildren. This is generational. This may seem small, hating where you're at to push you where you want to be and push you not only, you know what? Sometimes I've talked to people and they're like, man, I don't want to be great. Okay. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be the most physically fit person on this earth. But I'm sure you hate that there's things that you want to do in life that you can't financially do it. I'm sure you hate when you get exhausted because you won't even exercise for 30 minutes a day, even if that means walking down the end of the block or not. I'm sure you hate going to the doctor and him saying, if you don't get it in check, you're going to die. I'm sure you got to hate that your relationship isn't the best that it could possibly be. I'm sure you hate that you're not the most joyful that you could possibly be. We get one life to live. Are you living the best, happiest life that you could possibly live? You don't have to be amazing. You don't have to be in the top 1% of earners or 5%. You don't have to strive to get a Lambo or whatever it is, this $250,000, $500,000, $1 million home or anything like that. But I just invite you to look at your life and say, is it everything that you want it to be? Are you truly boundless? You may have a great life, but is it amazing? Do you just wake up with a smile on your face because you're doing everything that you can to become the best version of yourself and be intentional on your life being the best version it could possibly be? Give yourself grace, forgiveness. It's a hard road. You got to be consistent and persistent every single day, waking up and being intentional about how you are in your life and your relationships, your finances and everything like that. So give yourself grace if you fall down, because that's something that I did as well. When I wasn't stepping up and being at the level that I knew that I had inside me, sometimes I would get myself down in a low and be hard on myself. A lot of times I was harder on myself than I was other people, really. I was hard on people, but what a lot of them didn't realize was I was even harder on myself. That's why for a long time I thought about suicide, because I was so hard on myself. Like, Kurtis, why do you keep messing up? Why do you keep busting your head on the wall? Well, you know what? I had to get to a point where I hated making those mistakes so many times and stop feeling pity for myself and start taking ownership that you have inside you. You have it inside you to do it. It all starts with a choice. And use that hate to motivate you. And then you will love who you've become. You will love that you got through that. You will love that you took a stand for your life. You will love being joyful. You'll love having the finances to be able to do what you want to do. You'll love your marriage again. You'll become in love with your spouse again. I hope this helped you all. If you know somebody who would, please like, share, comment. It's a little bit bolder if you tag or send it somebody's in a DM. But just commenting on there, sharing, liking, will get other people on your timeline, your page, your friends group to see this. Especially if you know somebody that's hating their life in any kind of way, even if it's just in one way. This video, can motivate them, inspire them to use that hate to push them into an amazing, loving situation. Every single day, we're just going to step closer to being boundless. I love you all. Have a great day.